He's running.
Were you, or were you not, on a gay cruise?
No, you're 120% dick pic.
Everybody that age, they're sperminator.
Yeah.
Because we don't care about anything else. We're a walking hard on looking for a hole.
That's. I have to say you're right on that one. Oh my God.
A stiff breeze comes through the room and you return the favor.
Got her in. Oh. Somewhere on the outside of this building, there is a hole where squirrels come in.
Better than a hole where dicks come in.
Yeah, better than that.
Going down the stairs to wash the laundry. What the hell? Shh. Pizza. Stop! Stop it now! I order you to stop! I'm still touching myself.
Yeah!
All young bitches want to do is pop pills, smoke weed, get drunk, lay around, suck dick, eat hot Cheetos, charge they phone, get a sew and weave, twerk, be bisexual, eat McDonald's, wash they pussy in the sink, lie, take selfies, and talk shit through Wi-Fi because they phone never on.
I think washing they pussy in the sink is my favorite part. The Vietnamese trade in dongs. Figuratively and literally, I'm sure.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I did decide to look it up. 500,000 dongs is a good night for Pop's ex.
Like most women, he's an emotional thinker.
Good God.
I mean, that's part of the problem we're having now in our society is we have a bunch of emotional thinkers that want the world to, to fall in line with their emotions. That's not... look, reality doesn't give a shit about emotions.
It's my lived truth. Fuck your lived truth.
No, it's not. It's your perspective.
Kiss my ass.
Literally like, hey, Sergeant Pop, you got to turn your bear suit. I'm like, over my dead body. No. Just give me a statement of charges. Yeah. You're never getting this back. Yeah. You can suck it.
I'm going to wear this with my Russian coat.
you will bury me in this. Hey! Why you gotta fucking be like that, man?
Because I'm an asshole, and I learned from the best. I'm sitting across from him, and I'm pointing at you with all four fingers.
All right, first of all, the Russian jacket is World War II surplus.
I'll send you a picture of it, Sarge.
Yeah, okay.
I got you standing wearing it with holding two giant buckets like you just collected all the chum from behind the dump dumpster at the bar, and you're going to go home and make ice cream out of it.
What's up, savages? Terrence Pop here with the grunt speak that actually is live from the Lair. Now, this is the third installment in regards to old school Second Class Citizen, which is the nonprofit that Redonkulas operates underneath. Now, we've been in this fight since 2009. I have talked to thousands of individuals in the past 16 years that have been absolutely mutilated by the system. They've been thrown in jail. They've had their houses taken away. They've been made homeless. I was one of those individuals. Based on nothing, these men are given PPOs, and the justification from the judges is we're going to side on the air of caution. Now, I don't recall any of that being mentioned in the Constitution, that we're going to violate your constitutional rights because we want to be cautious. Freedom is scary. Deal with it. Now, we are now in a huge judicial conflict in regards to the federal government and the current president at this time. We're having all of these liberal right judges thinking they can overturn the president. And here's the thing. Of course they believe this because they've been getting away with doing the exact same thing in divorce courts across this nation, every single county and city, bar none, because they get paid from the federal government in the form of Title IV-D money, which is paid for out of your tax dollars. All right. On top of that, when was the last time that the government actually got involved in anything and made it better? That never happens. The government gets involved and they're like, okay, well, we don't want to maintain this on the regular, so we're going to appoint a bureaucracy over it, and then we're just going to let them handle it. And it has been an absolute cluster screw from the beginning. Now, in my research, and there needs to be an actual taxpayer-led, non-partial, formal investigation and study on this. But my numbers have been pointing at 60 to 70% of all of the veterans and service members that I have researched who committed or who self-deleted. We can't use the S word here on Tube of You.
Language.
Yes. But the thing is, when you look at that, all of 60, 70% of them had a contact with family court, divorce court within 5 years of their self-deletion. And we're not even counting all of the guys who drove their motorcycles into viaducts, got stinking drunk and fell off their boat, decided to get into a altercation and pull guns on people, to include the police, which is known as self-deletion via cop. All right. And the Department of Defense stops tracking veterans once they've been out of the service 5 years or more. For decades, it's been 22 a day. About a year and a half ago, they doubled it to 44 a day. And I think it's even more than that. And that's just veterans. We're not even counting men in general, because 80% of all the suicides or self-deletions that take place in the United States are men. All right, so we're going to be talking today in regards to steps that can be implemented to combat this craziness. Because let's just be honest, most of what they do in family court is not really covered by actual laws. It's case law and interpretations.
Oh, wait till you see what I dug up.
All right. So we've got the usual crew on standby. Bring them all on and let us,
gentlemen,
with this insanity.
Right. Bob, Don, Brandon, welcome back to the show. We appreciate you taking the time out. Like I said just a second ago, wait till you see all the stuff that I dug up. One of the beauties of AI, as it turns out, is it basically quintuples my ability to research. Just by sheer speed that it can find things. And a lot of what he's been saying, the family courts here, and this is straight out of two different AIs, basically have zero transparency.
Yep.
And that is one of the biggest problems. You can't get anywhere near them. And as Brandon is perfectly aware, if you try to fight back against them, they start doing all sorts of crazy stuff and taking an axe to your life.
Yeah.
So, Bob or Don, I can't remember which one of you said earlier that you got some material you wanted to start out with this evening.
What's Bob?
I just emailed it to you.
Okay.
So, the big question this week is, what do we do about it? How do we fight back?
Yes.
Where can we take this that makes any sense? So one of the things I figured out a long time ago is that it is a waste of time to try and tell a state court judge that he's wrong, because they know they're wrong. They already know that they're breaking the law. They don't care because they have what's called immunity, and they think they can get away with it because they think they have immunity for everything, including screwing us to death. But they don't.
Yes.
So what's going on is we've been looking at this. You know, the first week was just, man, this is a shit show. And it goes back to Title 4D. And then last week, I'm sorry I didn't get to spend more time with you because I would have loved to just tear that up. But Don did a really good presentation about the crazy bug-eyed whack-doodle shit show crazy that they used in his own experience, and that it has impacted so many other veterans. This morning, Don and I watched a case in Tennessee online, Court of Appeals, and they didn't seem to comprehend the tiniest little bit of what the law actually says about the difference between combat-related special compensation, VA benefits, and, of course, retired pay. And the attorneys really didn't get any good information on the table that would have been helpful. And the judges basically proved their total ignorance, disregard, disrespect for the law, because they're just doing their thing.
All right. A judge cannot pull ignorance, because if I step in front of a judge and I say I didn't know that was illegal, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Therefore, judges should not fall back on that excuse either.
The problem becomes
Absolutely.
who is going to hold that judge accountable. And I've seen that in not only family law, but in corporate law and in personal injury law as well. Look, one of the things that I encountered when I started working in law back in 2006, I was asked to administer the courses that a couple of senior attorneys put together, because they were receiving new attorneys out of Brown, Yale, Stanford, and highly accredited universities who couldn't put together a functional sentence. So there is nothing that should lead us to believe that any of these people knows anything about the law beyond the basics. They don't know.
That being said, this is a very, very simple thing. But we've got 30 years of predatory corruption and millions of pages of frivolous litigation complicating it. There's a whole lot of attorney feces out there, and I guarantee you half of judicial bias is caused by a chronic overexposure to attorney feces. What we're looking
I like that.
Oh, you got that one. So what we're looking at is a long history of BS. And like I said, it's a waste of time to argue with a state court judge in his own territory because he thinks he can get away with it. So the place to go is the federal court. If you want to take a judge and get him in trouble, you take him to the federal court under the 14th Amendment. Section 1983 of Title 42 says that you can sue a judge for due process of law. Remember, In the previous episode, I described due process as being you make a written list of each law that applies to each of the people in the court, and then you make sure that whatever the court is doing, whatever the judge is doing, is not breaking those laws, hurting those people, because they have rights. Individual rights can be enforced. So the 14th Amendment says that no state shall make or enforce any law that shall abridge the rights of the citizens. And no state shall deprive anyone of life, liberty, or property without due process of law and equal protection of the law. So we have the ability, based on our Constitution, to take judges to federal court and say, hey, remind the judge that the law says I have these federal rights, and the judge has to obey those federal rights. That is enforcement of due process of law. Here's the kicker. If you can prove that the judge has no possibility of jurisdiction on the subject matter, then the judge has no immunity. So where we're looking at the subject matter of veteran benefits, just veteran benefits, Title 38, Congress puts money out through Title 38 for the VA to spend taking care of us. And that money is controlled by a law that says it could not possibly end up in the jurisdiction of the state.
Right.
Congress has defined every aspect of jurisdiction, eliminating that possibility. So the judge can be sued for money because the judge has no immunity for violating the rights that we have under Title 38. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
So
Which bell is that supposed to ring? Because I've been doing this for 17
So
years and I could probably name like a dozen cases.
So I have some questions. In regards to the due process that these judges are supposed to follow, right now we're just talking about veterans and their VA disability pensions, CRSC, or what have you, correct? Now, can you go after a judge for if he puts a PPO against you and you never got called into court? It's called right to face your accuser, which is in the Constitution.
What has happened with that is the judges just close ranks. It's the black robe mafia. And when you try to challenge that, they'll just completely turn it on a loop and say, oh, well, she thought she was in danger. Oh, well, she thought she was in danger. Oh, well, she thought she was. They just keep repeating it. They never give you the opportunity to say, but I have rights and you have no proof of any of this.
Huh. I know, but that's where you fall
There's
into.
also a CYA thing there too.
Now, I was a process server in college, and I've been in the room when judges were talking to other judges, and they're like, hey, if we do this, it's going to be a huge fucking lawsuit, or it's going to cost all kinds of money. And you're right about the black cloak mafia.
Yep. Yeah, they just close ranks.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to penetrate.
we cannot get judges to admit the lack of jurisdiction on veteran benefits, because that would mean they would be admitting that they're personally liable for 35 years of predatory corruption and embezzlement and profiteering. We can't get lawyers to help us because they know that as soon as judges are required to basically obey because they can't get away with this anymore, as soon as judges get in trouble, lawyers are going to lose their paychecks. So they will not help us because every other lawyer in town will lose their paychecks at the same time. A huge amount. This is a multi-billion-dollar.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a money laundering operation.
And it's not just the lawyers industry, the states themselves. All right. The states themselves are making hundreds of millions of dollars. Some states are hundreds of millions. Washington, California, Texas, Michigan,
Connecticut, Pennsylvania,
Tennessee, hundreds of millions of dollars a year scamming veterans, scamming Social Security beneficiaries, going after active military housing allowance. All of these revolve around the same corruption that is within the whole family court system, the family court corruption itself is based on the money that the state makes. Lawyers are just profiteering on everybody because they weasel their way in and convince you to argue until you run out of money. And then they drop you like a hot potato because they already know the system is going to kill you.
Yeah. And most of them, like in my case, these judges do not want to have oral arguments.
Nope.
Inside these, they don't want to do it. So they have the opportunity and chance. These judges will file and they'll send the order or their opinion through the mail.
The sooner they get you off their
choice.
calendar, the sooner they can go home.
Absolutely. So it's kind of like that's why it's hard to go back to family court. You get, show cause hearings, this and that. And that's a lot of the reasons right there why these veterans will not go back to those courts.
Yep.
They won't go. So there's no justice at all because the family court, like I said before in the last segment, they have little to zero accountability. Who do they account to?
That's the reason we're bringing this to the table, because you now have an opportunity to sue the judge who put you in jail, the judge who took your VA benefits, the judge who took your combat-related special compensation, the judge who looked at military retired pay and said that, well, veteran disability pay is the same thing as military pay, and that's a fraud. The judge committed fraud where he has no possibility of jurisdiction to say that. Looking at one of the cases that we've seen recently, now we all have a friend who, you guys know better because he's in your neighborhood, who was recently hammered for $190,000 in retaliation for having won a Supreme Court case, pointing out that the Supreme Court finally admitted that it had no jurisdiction to interfere with combat-related special compensation.
We're talking about the Michigan Supreme Court argument that took place.
Yeah, Ray Foster.
He unanimously 4 times he won,
and yet because of the flip and twist, they're going after him again because his case was not picked up at the Supreme Court. So they said that he lost on the merits of the case, and so they're turning it all around and backfiring it on top of him.
And they kicked it back to the district.
There's another case that's very similar where they looked at the fact that DFAS came back and said, here is the remainder of the disposable retired pay. And it was like $400. And the state court said, well, he's got combat related special compensation, and then he's got veteran benefits, and then he's got this and then that. And so we think it's all concurrent retired disability pay, which means we can divide the whole retired pay. And so the state just committed this big fraud on top of the veteran. This is not unique. All right. Every single veteran that goes through this process, goes through the family court, is going to get hit by some mixture of these fraudulent claims. The state courts pretend to have jurisdiction, but they don't. So on one hand, we started off with filing federal suits against judges. And we've expanded that to look at filing state suits against the states themselves. After Torres versus Texas Department of Public Safety, we know that the state can be sued for violation of veteran rights. But we need to raise this to a level of understanding. In the Torres case, they were very careful not to look at jurisdiction, not to look at the whole of Title 38, because they knew that it would open a can of worms they weren't prepared to deal with. We have to open that can, and we have to pour all those damn worms on top of them. So, number one, we file the cases to the court. Number two, we have a bill that's been presented to quite a few members of Congress, everybody on the House and Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, to address this in the law. And we're hopefully working in the direction of getting a sit down with somebody at the executive level of the Department of Veterans Affairs, because Congress can solve this problem by fixing this one loophole and exposing the criminal misconduct of the state employees. Stop the embezzlement. The veterans will live, the families will do better, and everybody will be better.
But here's the thing is, if we're able to accomplish that and actually spank some of these judges, it'll trickle down into like the regular divorce court as well, to an extent. Because the minute the judges are proven to basically be corrupt, then that opens the lens to look at everything that judge has done.
Most of in the old days, before Title 4D was created, back in the year of the 1970s, when we had dinosaurs roaming the earth and so on, in order to get a divorce, you had to sue for some problem, adultery, theft, some criminal misconduct, or very specifically, physical and mental abuse. And mostly physical abuse, because they didn't care about mental abuse back then. They didn't acknowledge the existence.
It wasn't really a thing. Yeah,
it wasn't really a thing. So when they created this financial motivation for the states to use this, they shifted to a no-fault divorce environment, and that opened the door to the divorce industrial complex. That is what created this monster. So we get
no-fault divorce is the conveyor belt that runs this whole thing.
Yes, and it's okay to have a no-fault divorce in terms of no faulting the divorce. You get together, you get apart, that's fine. The problem that we're dealing with is the financial motivation for states to commit this fraud so they can make lots of money by destroying families.
Now, to what you're saying right there, like I mentioned earlier, I pulled a bunch of cases and had the chance to go through some of them. AI significantly increases my ability to research at speed. Most of what I'm seeing here, and in many of the appellate cases, HC versus Wisconsin Department of Children and Families, in regards to marriage of DI, Illinois 2018, one of the biggest factors is none of these judges, none of these courts, and none of the court bureaucrats, what do you call them, the guardian ad litem and all this, that, and the other, they do not hold to evidentiary standards. Now, in the United States of America, in other countries it's different. In the United States of America, you must prove beyond a reasonable doubt. You must provide substantive evidence that what you allege is true. And it is not on the person being accused to prove that they are innocent. But with the family courts in particular, the most egregious thing they do is make accusations without any substantiation at all. Zero evidentiary standards.
Yep. It makes it easier for them when they don't have to consider due process of law. It makes
I consider that to be a weakness that we just haven't exploited en masse. One guy, me standing in front of a judge saying, "You haven't proven anything." That's not, the judge could just blow me off.
That's right.
But us banding together like this and starting to bring these cases to them, now there's a juggernaut coming at them as opposed to one poor guy standing in front of a bench.
But the thing, the courts, the divorce courts, they're no fault now. But then they turn around and they use fault for custody. And most of the time it's like, well, he's never home. He doesn't take care of the kids. Despite the fact that he's at work providing for the family.
That's the evidentiary standards I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They literally just make things up.
Correct.
So all of this revolves around the money that the states get for leveraging child support against welfare against us. And it's really hard to squeeze money out of a drug addict. It's really hard to squeeze money out of a guy in jail. It's really hard to squeeze money out of a dumbass. Unless the dumbass is rich, in which case you milk him for all he's got. But when it comes to it, the courts look at us and say, you're the dumbass for joining the military. You're the dumbass for having children you could never afford. And you're the dumbass for getting behind on the child support order, so we can take that. And what they do is they convert this into a debt that they write up on a scroll, and then they convert that over to a debt to the state. So it's no longer a debt to the X, it's a debt to the state. All of this is fake paperwork. This is extortion, embezzlement. And when it goes to veteran benefits, looking at this, the difference between income from work and veteran benefits is that benefits are compensation for injury and loss. They're not compensation for work you did. Right. Military retired or retainer pay is compensation for keeping you on at a smaller salary just to keep you around in case they need you. It's not compensation for money, that you've set aside for 20 years of service in the military. It's not magic. It's a lower level of pay for your availability if we need you to go back in service and do the job.
Lemley versus United States.
Yeah. So this is, thank you, Don. That was a very good injection there. The point is that every one of these things that we're looking at is protected by federal law that says it belongs to Congress. It belongs to the departments of the federal government, and it belongs to the federal courts. There's no point in time where the state courts would have jurisdiction on the subject of Title 10, Armed Forces of the United States, Title 38, Veteran Benefits. So that's where we're looking to hold the judges accountable. So in the court system, we're suing the judges. Speaking to Congress, we're trying to get them to understand that veteran benefits have never been part of the jurisdiction that belongs to the states. States have never had a right to receive veteran benefits. And if you look at, case law, we can certainly point out that the state is not an intended beneficiary of Title 38, has no right to the money. And then,
so specifically under 38, so people can see it for themselves, I can actually bring this tab up. Payments under Chapter 15 of Title 38 U.S. Code, including accrued pension benefits are not considered. They're excluded from income. Let me bring that up real fast. Hit the right button, Steve. Have one of those days. So you can see right here, this is what you're talking about.
What part of the CFR are we in? 38 CFR?
Yes. We are specifically 38 CFR 3.272, exclusions from income. Now, what that means is not even the IRS can touch this. So the family courts can't touch this.
It states it
And
right
there it is
on the
specifically.
website, the IRS website.
Yes.
Right there. Can't touch it.
Yes.
Yep.
So in the cases that we're bringing, back in the day, Rose versus Rose, everybody's heard of Rose versus Rose. Raise your hand if you have. Rose versus Rose.
Yeah.
Okay.
They love that one.
So they live on that. At that point in time, the Supreme Court of the United States said that there were 4 statutes looked at: the apportionment statute, the anti-garnishment statute, and the jurisdiction statute of Title 38, and the little one over on the corner, Section 659 of Title 42, which is part of that Title 4D thing. And they said, well, this one doesn't preempt state jurisdiction, and that one doesn't preempt state jurisdiction because they weren't really about jurisdiction.
Right.
Section 211 did not happen to give the administrator of the VA exclusive jurisdiction. It said that if the administrator makes a decision, then nobody can interfere with that in the federal courts. But it said that these decisions cannot be reviewed by any other official or by any court of the United States. The court said that only applies to the federal court. So they said what they said is that current federal law at that time did not happen to make veteran benefits exempt from state jurisdiction. but they've never been part of state jurisdiction. So what's the problem?
Right.
That opened the door for the state courts to go after veteran benefits like it was going out of style. However, Congress was already working on a bill to provide judicial review through a federal court when a veteran's claim is denied. But they also said in order to stop all the rampant attacks and expenses and litigation and all that other stuff, they have to just say only certain courts can look at veteran benefits in a certain way. And the idea was to protect beneficiaries by making it absolutely clear states have no authority. So when they changed the words of section 211, they removed that phrase of the United States, and they made it clear that the administrator shall decide. Shall means shall decide only.
Yep.
All questions of law and fact that affect the provision of benefits to any veteran, dependent, or survivor of the veteran. What that means is that if there's any question about the distribution of benefits between the veteran and the dependents, it belongs to the administrator of the VA. And then a few years after that, in 1991, they changed section 211 to section 511, and they changed the word administrator to secretary. So from 1988 forward, from the Veterans Judicial Review Act forward up to now, states have not had any jurisdiction to make any kind of a ruling about veteran benefits. And when they talk about military retired pay and then yada, 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 and disability pay, they're corrupting the law. And they're corrupting the law so they can get paid by it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about. Section 511 controls jurisdiction on veteran benefits. And Section 511 pointedly says the secretary shall decide all questions of law and fact. There's no room to question that. That's the law itself. The CFR is written by the VA in response to the law. Congress changes the law. The VA changes the CFR, and they're supposed to be the same. But current VA policy is to allow garnishments even though they know better.
For the layman out there, what Bob is talking about regarding the word shall, in legal terms, in a legal document, shall means this is not a negotiable thing. You shall do this. It is a command. And anytime you've got shall in a properly rectified legal document, that's it. There is no other. That's the course of action you must take. You shall take this course of action.
Right.
Well, Congress wasn't just ordering the secretary or the administrator at the time to decide those questions. Some people say that it was to get them to decide on alimony and child support cases. That's not it. VA benefits and alimony are two different things. And there's no provision in Title 38 for alimony. None. Former spouses never have a right.
All right. You're using alimony. We use the word Alice isn't horny anymore money.
Hey,
This is a dry subject.
We have to laugh about this stuff because we've been through so much of this, and I know you guys have as well. It gets really intense and it drags you down to a. But when Pop and I started this, just as a minor segue here, when Pop and I started this, I was staying at his place, and we would get so deep into the weeds on all of this stuff that you're talking about right now that we would put a fire in the fireplace in his living room and both just sit there and not talk and stare at the fire for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because it was such a heavy topic.
Well, there was beer too.
There was also beer.
Yeah.
And pizza rolls.
Yeah. Yes. Got to have those.
And, like the front of the courts and stuff like that here in Michigan and, the state court administrators, it blows me away too, because on the sheets that they send you, it says VA benefits. And I think it goes back to the Rose case, the USF, PA 1408.
USFSPA.
There you go. So it kind of gave them that, it lifted this bar to where they just went, well, we can take all VA benefits now. And that's just simply not the case. And most VSOs don't know.
They don't know.
The VA already has an Article 1 tribunal set up, so it goes directly to them.
Hang on. An Article 1 tribunal. Explain what that is.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a judicial 3 entity. It's I want to, Bob, you might be able to help me out with this. I'm still learning a little bit about that through the VA.
Say the term again.
According to Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution, Congress has the power to create courts that are lower than the Supreme Court of the United States. That's an Article 1 court.
Okay.
Most of the federal courts are specifically Article 1 courts. There are a couple of minor courts that are tied in under Article 3. But Article 3 is the Supreme Court itself and the hierarchy of our court system that leads up to the Supreme Court. Because in terms of courts, they're the highest court in the land.
Right.
But just think what you're saying here. Congress set up all of these, level 1 courts, which are literally just a fireworks show of clusterfuckery, so they could just fuck us over 3 ways to Sunday.
Right. So when this stuff goes,
Congress did not create the family court.
Right.
Somebody created that clusterfuckery, and I want to see them get punished.
So
when this stuff goes to the front of the court, they're already supposed to do a test. Is it remuneration or isn't it? They don't do it because the state court administrator just put VA benefits on there, so they just put a blanket over it.
That's right.
Whatever it is.
Most of the states have issued what's called mandatory family court forms. And the purpose of mandatory forms is to eliminate the understanding or eliminate the opportunity for due process of law.
Yes.
Because the mandatory form says you put this in here, and if it's not already mentioned in there, some of them just say Social Security benefits, disability benefits, stuff like that. And they say that's income. And there are some that actually say veteran benefits. There are states that have laws that say veteran benefits count as income. Washington State passed a law in 1991 to count veteran benefits in alimony and child support orders. But here's the caveat. When they passed that law by the state legislature, it was a violation of the 14th Amendment by passing a law that would cancel the rights of the veteran established by the Veterans Judicial Review Act, which makes it clear that states have no authority to do that. So they wrote a law that is garbage. It's unconstitutional. Those laws have to be challenged. There's a law in Louisiana that says if the federal law preempts it, but state law allows it, then state law takes precedent over federal law.
No.
Yeah.
That's
they can say that, but that's
what
incorrect.
Would be the enumerated powers of Congress then? Like what would be the point of it? Like It's already there. It's already black and white, black letter law.
Yeah.
So
Marbury versus Madison is a fun case to read because it's short, sweet, and brutally honest. And it says that even though the powers of the federal government are limited, where those powers are concerned, any law written by Congress is supreme. It is the supreme law of the land. So that's a good case. And there's other cases that are referring back to that. I want to say the Battle Dwarf or Dr. Dwarf here.
Marbury is one of my favorite ones. I sat and discussed Marbury with an attorney that I worked with in Los Angeles who's retired now and pushing his 80s. This was one of his favorite cases. Marbury versus Madison is an Ouroboros. It's the snake eating its own tail. The Supreme Court was never supposed to issue the Marbury ruling. It's out of scope. However, it is correct in every letter. What Marbury essentially states is any law passed which is in contradiction of the Constitution, which is which is anathema to the Constitution is the actual language, is void prima facie, like right from the gate. And no court or judge shall enforce that law. Now, Marbury versus Madison, I believe 1815, is just a Supreme Court opinion. It does not carry full force of law. However, this past December 2024, Wilson versus State of Hawaii was decided by the Supreme Court, and it does have the full effect of law. Basically restates Marbury versus Madison and says not only can you not pass a law that's anathema to the Constitution, but you cannot license a right nor charge a fee. Wilson versus State of Hawaii, just this past December 2024.
Wow.
Gives teeth to Marbury versus Madison. Everybody has wriggled out of Marbury by pointing out that it was, in fact, just an opinion that SCOTUS didn't really have any business issuing, even though it was correct in every letter of the word. Wilson versus Hawaii gives it teeth.
Like in my case, they put a void order on it. The judge made me pay out of pocket. Okay. And I think in Mansell.
What?
Yeah. So, right. So in Mansell,
wow.
As far as federal law is concerned, state law, like these judges, if the Supreme Court ruled that you can't do indirectly what you can't do directly. So, I mean, that's an attachment. And even in the courtroom, he goes, well, maybe we can attach it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, hang on. Do you have the transcripts of that?
Oh yeah.
All right. Fucking nuke that guy.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I've got quite a bit of the transcripts throughout this process, and a lot of it's changed. A lot of it has changed.
Whoa! If you can prove that they tampered with a court document, you've got them by the short hairs.
Yeah. Well,
So that removes the whole family court thing. That removes the whole judge's opinion. All of that. It is official tampering with official court document.
Yeah.
That's a technical, and there's no wiggle room for them.
I think it's under 511. It's under 511, isn't it, Bob? It says no attachment, levy, seizures, nothing.
5301.
5301.
Or 5301. Sorry.
Stand by. All right. In regards
5301 of what?
Civilians out there.
Title 38.
38. Title 38.
Title 38, Section 5301.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, hang on. Now, for the civilians out there who are fucked up in all of this family court shit, what he just said about altering the transcripts is a huge fucking thing. It happens all the time.
Absolutely.
If you can get in your county 10 to 15 guys and you do a freedom of information request for all of the cases that judge is sat in front of, and you have them all file formal complaints against that judge for tampering with the transcripts, I mean, if it's just onesie twosies, they can easily sweep that under the rug. But if you have a judge who's been on the bench for 5, 8, 10 years, he's going to have a couple of thousand cases under his belt.
Right.
Here's the thing, Pop. Here's how it works
hang on.
in
Let
the
me finish
legal
my
realm.
thought.
Okay, go ahead.
My thought.
No.
All right. So if you can, get a hold of these people who sat in front of this judge and have them file these complaints. Now, it's a process. I get you. But the state board that oversees all the judges are going to flip the fuck out, because this is not happening just in one or two places. It is happening across all of the counties in all 50 states. They all fuck with the transcripts.
Right.
And that's probably one of the reasons why, well, you can't have a recording device or a cell phone.
There you go. There's a placard.
Yeah. All you got to do
outside the door.
That doesn't mean anything. Those placards carry no weight of law.
That's right. You just put your phone on record, record all of what takes place in the court.
Yep.
And if you get in front of the board of review, you go, I have the recording right here, and here's the actual transcript. You'll see they are not the same. Once they find that one time, it opens the door for just a fucking avalanche of fucking problems.
Here is where
I put another request in, a FOIA request, to go, hey, how many veterans in this county, in Ogama County, have went through family court? Denied.
Well, then you just
They wouldn't even.
Your name is flagged. Let me give it a try. Give me the information to send the FOIA to, and I'll give it a
Here's
shot.
another thing. Stand by. If they're always going to shoot you down in the beginning because they know it's going to cause all kinds of problems. That's why you got to enforce the FOIA requests in federal court. They have 21 days to respond.
Right.
So I got a question regarding that, Pop, because I had another gentleman that runs it's called an alienated father's page, and he asked a question a couple weeks ago: should they allow cameras in family courtrooms? And I said yes. He said no, because then all your information is out there. But the reason I said yes is because when I requested my transcripts from my contempt case, and my mom was sitting there with me. It was in the midst of COVID, so it was all on the phone. And she said, I remember the judge saying this. When those transcripts came, that information was not there.
No.
Let me say this about that, Dom.
That's scary shit, guys.
So how do we go about that?
Wait,
let Steve talk.
Let me say this about the cameras in the courtroom. I think an individual who is in that courtroom has every right to record his own testimony and the proceedings for his own use. I could see not wanting to broadcast that stuff out there. But if you go into court, you should have a right to record your own situation. That's your life that they're playing with. I can't see any reason that they should refuse.
Well, they're doing it to you.
No, I know.
Every corner of the courtroom has a camera
in their asses.
Yes.
3 reporters.
Yes.
Recorders in there.
Yep, exactly. Well, if they have a right to record you, you have a right to record you.
Stand by. Spy glasses. They look like regular glasses with a camera in them. Are virtually undetectable. I've worn them in court before.
Spy cams.
And it costs like $79.
They're really good. The quality has gone way the hell up now too.
And the battery will last 3 hours. You're not going to be standing in front of a judge for 3 hours.
No judge is going to talk to you for 3 hours. Period.
Yeah, unless it's a murder case.
Bob,
I've sat through divorce cases where it was all morning, all afternoon, and 2 days in a row, just bullshit, whining, bullshit. And this was in front of a judge who was supposed to be a experienced fellow. He's retired now, and I went through there with one veteran in particular. I went through the next door judge with another veteran. Took 2 days to do just a simple series of trial arguments. And then I've been in one court. They did 6 in just the morning session.
What state
it was
is
just quick raping the veterans as fast as possible. Washington State, Pierce County.
yeah. I know.
The Wild West.
My whole court
One of the
proceeding
worst ones in
in
the country.
Pierce County was probably 45 minutes long. Like I mentioned, I believe it was 2 episodes ago, I got extremely lucky that my ex's attorney, who was a YMCA discount special, made some incredibly stupid remarks that I was able to easily refute with official orders from the United States Army. So yeah, Pierce County is bad.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And here's a fun note. A friend of mine was a bankruptcy lawyer, and between 2005 and 2008, she said that more than half of the divorce lawyers in Pierce County went bankrupt because they couldn't collect a penny off of the veteran and Social Security benefits that they were going after. So half of the veterans ended up dead, but the attorneys took a lot of hits, and a lot of them went out of business.
Bob,
But
those attorneys, even in general, that go in there, they want the money up front from the veterans.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
If
go,
you
no,
have
we can't do
assets, the
payment
attorney-
plans because they know it's the same way, same thing. That's
If
why
you
they
have
put an
assets,
end around
the
order on
attorneys
it.
get them. If you don't have assets, they just throw you to the wolves.
Yep.
My attorney was Barb Henderson, was her name. She's long since retired. This was 19 years ago, 18 years ago, I guess, somewhere thereabouts. And she wanted the money up front. That's where I lost all of my money and assets, was during that,
Yep.
because she wanted the money up front.
Yeah.
I went through that in 1990 and 91. And every attorney I talked to said the same thing. You're dumb for being in the military. You're dumb for having more kids than you could ever afford. And you're dumb for getting behind. And
Bob,
that was before I got behind.
Did this start like progressively get worse as like, was there like a couple decades? Was there where like between 90 and, 2010, was it, I don't know. Cause I'm like, 'cause it's bad now.
Between 1981 and 1991 is where all of the laws and all of the precedents were set up to turn it into the death-creating financial dick-sucking machine that it's become.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it became much worse after the 1996 adjustment in the Title 4D Section 659, when they said they basically took 662 and repealed it, and then merged that little nibble about retirees who get VA benefits into 659. And then they started putting out things like that IM 9803 and some other propaganda to say, look, you go after veteran benefits. The federal Office of Child Support was telling the state offices, go after veterans, go ahead, rape them to death. So in the year 99, I went through a horrible experience, another breakup and stress. And that's the last time I saw my youngest child, my daughter. Haven't seen her since. But I went through that time, and the state came after me for my support order from my older kids. They didn't care that I was totally disabled. They didn't care that they had already had the documentation of my disability in and out of the hospital. They had buckets of documentation on me, and yet they racked this thing up so they could create a false narrative and garnish my federal benefits, leaving me with $600 a month to live on, as screwed up as I was. Naturally, I became homeless. I believed I could fight back and bring this to the court and explain what they're doing wrong and why it's illegal. And I tried and I pushed and I fought back and I argued and I went to everybody I could. I went to Congressman Norm Dix. I went to Governor Gregoire. I went to a dozen of attorneys. And I asked, how do I get this done? How do I fix it? How do I make them stop stealing this money? And they all said, well, you have to consult with this Office of Child Support Enforcement and this conference board and review board and everything. You have to go back and talk to the people who are stealing the money. And I said, talking to them, not getting anywhere, need real help. That was what pushed me to the edge. And that's why I explained to some of the people I talked to that you have about a 3 to 5 year window on average from the crucifixion in the court and this massacre in the court until the veteran just runs out, just like, no way, I'm homeless, I'm struggling, I don't care. You get tired of waiting to die and you just accelerate the process.
Right.
This is something that I can attest to my personal experience. And if it weren't for a bunch of veterans, dragging me around and getting me to volunteer and keeping me out of trouble, I'd have been dead a long time ago. So the thing is, we're looking at this 3 to 5 year window on average, and we're looking at it did accelerate, to answer Brandon's question. It accelerated enormously in that 99 to 2000 range. It went up by a factor of 10 times worse. And then between 2000 and 2010, It also increased significantly. I wouldn't say exponentially, but definitely in a big way. From 2010 to 2020, it seemed to be going more and more. This is during the time where we're seeing these heavy duty cases bouncing in and out of court, and this kind of repeat performance heading back to the state courts, and everybody making all these random rulings about how the state court controls all this. All those state court rulings, dead on arrival, void, ab initio, garbage. Right. And we get to Howell versus Howell in 2017, and they said, well, Mansell set the precedent back in 1989, so what's the problem? You can't touch it. Shut up. Right. And then we go to the pandemic. And during the pandemic, see, we have military training. We can buckle down and live in a small space. Yeah. But holding the rest of the families down was impossible. Getting the kids to stop kissing their boyfriends, girlfriends, and dog just wasn't possible. So that's what triggered a huge amount of increased numbers of divorces. Now, when they look at the veterans community, they just say, well, you know what? You deserved it. And they go after them. We go through courts. The veterans that broke up during pandemic or because of pandemic and the post-pandemic psychotic bullshit have been struggling with the courts. All right. They're in their third year of court. They're at the point of defeat. This is one of the biggest reasons for the tidal wave of self-deprecation, deletion, decomposition, demastification, and otherwise. We're in such a bad shape right now.
Yeah.
So it has increased exponentially because of the states losing billions of dollars to that era of the 2020, 2021. And because of that, they are raping, pillaging, plundering military and veteran families like it's going out of style. And these families are being trashed because the veterans die.
So
all that magic money goes away.
So I'm going to coin a word right now and then explain it. The word is bureaucratosis. Bureaucratosis is a condition in which somebody who works inside the bureaucracy of the family courts that we're talking about, who pushes these buttons, checks these blocks, and pulls these levers to make sure that your paperwork goes through, is developed such a sense of apathy toward fellow human beings, let alone veterans, that they don't even see what it is that they're doing to people. They have zero concept at all. They don't feel it, they don't hear it, and they don't see it. To them, you're a piece of paper that they have to stamp and or file in the correct order.
They're also a number.
They're
Bureaucratosis.
They're there to get the paycheck that is coming out of the bodies of the dead veterans.
Yes, and they don't understand it at all. That is bureaucratosis.
And the other thing, too, is what they'll do, like in my case right now, I highly doubt they're going to throw me in jail at this point, but they've been sending me letters and going, we're going to attach your assets. We're going to attack your credit reporting systems. They're doing all this. So when the veterans, like Bob said, these guys are going, you're getting to the point they're just done with it. These veterans are like, they're just so done, but they're going to attach your assets. They're going to get their money either way.
Yep.
They're going to get their money either way,
until we get them in front of the court and we expose the tomfuckery that they're doing.
So basically, a federal judge would have to go to these state court judges. Can you do this or can't you? Like you have to be able to go. These state court judges are going, well, we can do it. And a federal judge is going, no, you can't. So that's kind of where we're at, right?
So far, the federal judges at the lower level have said, whoops, we see stuff, but they don't want to get their friends across the street in the state court in trouble. They don't want to rock the boat. They know, and I have to say, for some, they're probably considering this, They know that we have to go to the Supreme Court of the United States, because it doesn't matter what a lower court says. They could rule in our favor, and it'll get appealed up to the Court of Appeals, and we'll get the same thing. They will screw the veteran over. That's why we have all of these direct lines, these shortcuts through the state courts or through the federal courts to get to the Supreme Court. Because if the Supreme Court says, why, yes, you're right, state judges are bound by the Supremacy Clause, thereby required to obey federal law that is written by Congress specifically to fulfill one of the enumerated powers that you pointed out. Basically, the powers of Congress to control the military forces and the federal government. Right. So,
on that note, and go ahead, finish your thought, Bob. I'm sorry. Finish your thought, and then I'll go.
The point is, we get the Supreme Court to say, yes, state judges are required to obey the supreme law of the land, and yes, they can be sued for money when they have no possibility of jurisdiction on the subject matter of the rights they are violating right now. Right. Now, the difference between a violation of the ADA and a violation of veteran benefits is that a violation of the ADA, they can be basically told you have to make reasonable accommodation for the disabled. The violation of federal law, veteran benefits, preemption, federal preemption. A violation of federal preemption means the judge has done something he could not possibly have jurisdiction to do. He's crossed the line. At that line, he goes from being a judge in a robe on a bench to being an ordinary person in a Halloween costume sitting on a high chair. They're individual. They have no immunity. Yeah, Halloween costume, dude. Mask, the whole works.
Right.
To that, I have two cases here. I sent you guys the whole slew of what I managed to pull up right before the show, but I want to read these two cases because I want you to hear what happened in them. Turner versus Rogers, 2011, details in this United States Supreme Court case. Michael Turner, a father, was jailed for a year by a South Carolina family court judge for non-payment of child support without being provided a public defender. Turner argued that this violated his due process rights. Yet this, a Supreme Court ruled the indigent parent in civil contempt proceedings for child support did not have an automatic right to counsel, but the lack of adequate procedures to determine his ability to pay violated due process. Again, evidentiary issues. Legal action. The case was a direct challenge to the family court procedures, highlighting how fathers can face incarceration without proper legal representation. While not a lawsuit against the judge itself, it exposes systemic issues in family courts that disproportionately affect fathers, particularly indigent ones. Outcome. The court vacated the contempt order, emphasizing the need for procedural safeguards. This case spurred discussions about fairness in family court enforcement actions. Relevance to the issue demonstrates how family courts can infringe on fathers' rights through lack of due process, prompting Supreme Court intervention. Due process and evidentiary standards, they just blew them right out of the water. That's Turner versus Rogers, 2011. Now, Philadelphia Judge Lyris Young case, 2017. Details. In Pennsylvania, Judge Lyris Young was accused of violating parental rights, including those of fathers, through arbitrary and biased rulings in family court. Say it isn't so, Joe. One father was jailed for 7 days for allegedly unauthorized contact with his children, which he denied. The Superior Court later vacated the contempt decision, finding the father was given any due process at all. Attorney Jimmy Binns, seeking custody of his own grandchildren, reported Young's misconduct, describing her as unfit for the bench. Legal action. Public complaints, and a 2018 investigation by the Legal Intelligencer led to a formal review by the Pennsylvania Judicial Conduct Board. Young was suspended in June 2021 after multiple complaints about her demeanor and decisions. Outcome. Young was transferred out of family court in 2018, faced sanctions, though specific lawsuits against her were not detailed due to judicial immunity. The case highlighted systemic issues in family court fairness, including for fathers. That one right there in particular, Brandon, applies to you to a degree in that there's a lack of due process and blatant discrimination. It also indicates that if enough people start making enough noise, we can, in fact, get these people at least removed from the bench.
Right. Right.
Well, the thing is if they remove the judge from the bench, then
Yeah.
you can fucking sue the county and state for damages, especially if they throw you in jail for contempt of court.
Mhm.
You were still, arrested, booked, put into jail.
Yeah.
That you can get monetary damages for that.
Right.
We got one guy in Oregon who was put in jail for over a year so the court could sell his property to a land developer, give his ex-wife a bucket of money that was based entirely on his VA and Social Security benefits. A massive fraud. I have probably 300 documents from this guy, and if he's still alive, I would love to see him move forward.
That's sickening. God, that's so sickening.
That's the kind of
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
that
And-
has people playing tag from a distance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now,
Well,
it's
we've
fun
mentioned
playing tag
before.
with a cattle prod and a taser, but it's just not for everyone.
Yeah.
We've mentioned before, it's shocking that more judges have not been given a JFK haircut.
Yeah.
So
I do not encourage any such behavior, nor could I condone it should I know of it. It's just surprising.
Well, the thing, Bob, I'm sitting here and I'm going, why are we at the point now where we have to go after, because this is going to be case by case scenario with suing these judges.
Yeah.
That's why I said in the last segment, where is the enforcement? It's a simple thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Now we're at this point, right? So it's going to be a case by case scenario.
All right, one person talk at a time, please.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just said it's going to be a case by case scenario, and it's like, what's the overall objective? The overall objective is enforcement.
For all of the veterans who've been through this, nobody has survived long enough to raise awareness and attention to this problem until now.
Yeah.
What you guys have done, what we have done is new and fresh.
Right.
Most of the veterans who've been through this are already dead.
Yep.
Right.
And
I
they
was
cannot
almost one of
speak
them.
for themselves.
I-
And the
There
ones
too.
who are not dead are struggling.
Yeah.
So we are fortunate to be able to put this in the public eye and make it available so all of the veterans out there who are watching this can actually learn more about how we are working to get there. And yes, initially we're doing this as individual cases, case by case, but every single one of our cases is perfectly valid. And the question we're asking the federal courts, and we're forcing in the direction of getting to the Supreme Court, is whether state judges are bound, tied, required to obey the supreme law of the land, where it says they could not possibly touch veteran benefits ever.
Very quickly, while
And
you're
they
going
get in
through this,
trouble for it.
Bob, very quickly while you're going through this, I'm going to share your veteranhope.org site so people can see what you're talking about. They know who we are because you're here on our show.
It's
Wow.
awesome, guys. It's awesome. Bob did a great job with that.
And just because I forgot to mention, and I may have said it earlier, just yesterday, one of the veterans who was put in jail last week called me up on Thursday and told me what happened. And so just yesterday, he filed his case in the federal district court as an amended complaint in his current case at the District Court of Connecticut. And basically, we expect them to come back with an automatic rubber stamp answer. So that means we can go directly to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Don's case is at the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. We've got another guy in the 10th Circuit. We've got one getting ready to come up in the 5th Circuit. So wherever you are in the country, this is a perfectly valid case, perfectly valid claim. Veteran benefits are exempt from state jurisdiction, and there's nothing in the law to make up for that. They commit fraud using Rose versus Rose, And if you look at the website, I have a complete explanation about how Congress changed the law after Rose, making it clear that veteran benefits are not part of that.
Tell me where that is here. Tell me where that is here.
Child support and the absurd mythology of Rose.
Okay.
Number one right there. I'm pointing at it with my finger. It's the first one on the list.
I mean, Bob breaks this down so much. I mean, it's
Here's
crazy.
my question. Here's my question. It takes fucking forever to get anything in front of the Supreme Court.
Mhm.
You know, unless we can attach this to some type of dilemma that's taking place in real time, which we can, which is veteran suicide. If we could stick those together, we can get it in front of the Supreme Court faster. Because right now, it's on the pecking board, and there will always be shit jumping in front of it that's more important.
Well, that other people think is more important. Pop, I'm going to point out something that you and I have discussed before. We don't do this to save our own skins. That battle has been fought and lost for the most part. We do this for the guys coming behind us so that the young guys coming into the pipeline who get sucked into this absolute shitstorm, they don't have to go through this. So if it takes us 4 or 5 years to get this to the Supreme Court, I'm okay with that, because if we do it, that's lives saved, and that's all I care about.
Bingo.
Well,
so Pop.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, and that's why Bob and I do this too, is that neither one of us takes a dime from anybody. We actually have contributed to help other cases. There is a guy, and I was talking to another veteran yesterday. We've both gone to this other guy who charges money, another veteran who charges money for stuff. Not going to mention his name, but I couldn't imagine doing that. We don't do that, and I know you guys don't do that. And that's just that's kind of what attorneys do. They take advantage of. My brother-in-law is an attorney who works for the big nationwide fathers' rights law firm, and I think it's all blood money. They take advantage of desperate fathers, who are given their last dollar and taking money out taking out loans to hope maintain their relationship with their children, and they end up getting screwed. And to do that to a veteran or anybody else in that situation is just crappy.
Pop and I encountered that very early on. Do you remember the organization Adam, Pop?
Yes, they fucked
We
me over.
looked into them, and they fucked you over, and we found out that they were just basically fleecing guys.
Yes. That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
Now, Pop, you went through yours in 2007, 2008, something?
2006, 7. I think it was done at the 8 of. I think it was. My ass raping was completed, I believe, at the end of 07. And I think there might have been a forced blowjob at the beginning of 08 from the court.
You were just applying the ointment to your torn rectum when I showed back up again.
Okay.
Yes.
Which was 2009, the beginning of 2009.
Well, I was married for 9 years. We call it 6 years active, 3 years reserve. The divorce process was milked for 3 years by my ex-wife's attorney, who was a real shit show. For the most part, he was just rubber stamping everything on the way. This was in the early 90s, so it was recently post-Rose, post-Veterans Judicial Review Act. Nobody knew what was going on, but they said Washington law, yada, 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 blah. And come to find out, he should have been disbarred, just thrown out of the business. Now, back then, I didn't know what was going on. Now I know. Now, just to put it on the table, you may have heard of a thing called statute of limitations, where it says basically if you wait too long, you can't do anything about it. You with me?
Yeah.
Yep.
So what they did in that public sodomostomy, whatever.
Sodomostomy, write that down.
Sodomostomy.
Steve.
What they did to you in the 2005, 6, 7, 8 time frame was during part of the most brutal time frame where we had a huge increase in loss of veterans because of just the whiplash from the active military operations, the stop loss, the devastation to the families, the divorce process, and self-deletion. So that was probably the biggest wave that I saw. So the fact that you survived that is a good thing. But did you know that void is void now and forever? Void ab initio means void from the moment it happened.
Inception.
Void can be challenged at any time under any circumstances. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go back after your ex, but you were deprived due process of law by an illegal act by at least one judge. And that colostomy that I just mentioned was, anyways, I couldn't say that word again.
Sodomostomy.
Sodomostomy.
There you go. Thank you. But the fact that happened, you see, you could still sue that judge for misconduct, and you could still sue the state for damage done by the destruction of your family for profit. The state itself profited off of you and the damage.
Yeah.
Bob just mentioned something I want to touch on. He mentioned Washington law, and Pop mentioned this right at the beginning of the show. You're talking about case law. This case we watched this morning in Tennessee Court of Appeals, Boyd Curry. The attorneys mentioned there's a case called Vlack. There's a case called Hammond. Attorneys love to reference case law, but case law doesn't mean shit if it gets around the statute. I hate it when attorneys argue case law. I don't give a shit what the case law says. What does the statute say?
Right.
If the case law is standing law, but it violates the statute, it doesn't mean a damn thing.
The last attorney I worked for, she would get hit with case law all of the time. I had worked for two major corporate firms prior to that, and I knew about the statute thing that you're talking about. And to her delight, she discovered that I knew my way around statutes, and I would just shoot down these attorneys on the opposing counsel. I actually had an attorney on opposing counsel call me, screaming at me, and I said, "Suck it up, I don't care."
Because they love to bury you with this bullshit.
Yeah.
That you'll get lost in all the rabbit holes of case law.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you get lost in the cluster fuckery sauce of family court.
Yeah. I'm the guy who's going to crack your door, roll a grenade through it, and shut it. Just see what happens. I know how to do that legally now. I know how to use law to. I roll statute grenades through your door.
Nice.
Well, I've been fortunate that on the few occasions that I've really stood my ground and challenged the bullshit, that I didn't get hurt worse.
Yep.
I know that a lot of the veterans who use even the tiniest bit of stubbornness that I had are being thrown in jail like it's going out of style.
Wow.
Like LaRon got tossed in jail last week, and others that are getting hit. And most of us are also facing abuse situations because the standard operating procedure is to accuse the veteran of some kind of child abuse or spouse abuse.
Yes, I was accused of all kinds of things. Yep.
In many, many cases, the situation is deteriorating so much that the former spouses are abusing the children, using the children as a weapon against the veteran, which is a form of child abuse that leads to parental alienation, which is another form of child abuse. But on top of that, a lot of problems happen because the children end up in a situation where the former spouse is shacking up with somebody who's abusing the children, or they just neglect the children, or they just ignore the children, or they just take out all their frustrations on the children. And in many cases, the single parent household of the custodial parent doesn't have enough money left over even with the money being stolen, because a lot of the money coming out of the veterans goes to the state instead of the former spouse. So they're basically, latchkey kids. And in many cases, they end up drugs, alcohol, and abuse. And I've got more horror stories than I can count.
Bob?
End up getting molested and really abused. And all of this, as Child Protection Services keeps them in a bad situation to steal money from the veteran or the other parent. That's
very quickly regarding the abuse thing. When my ex kidnapped my daughter and ran, I was stationed in Korea at the time. I was stationed at 8th Army there. She ran to initially Florida, then Maryland, then Texas, and then finally cornered her in Pierce County. Her attorney that was advising her put her in a safe house for battered and abused women, many of whom were alcoholics and druggies to begin with. So my ex had my 2.5-year-old daughter in this fucking safe house just to make it look like I was a threat. They put her in absolute fucking harm's way. And when I found this out, one of my sergeants, Sergeant Barry, is with me. I'm in the first sergeant's office. I just about trashed the first sergeant's office. And even the colonel in the brigade is like, this guy had every reason to fuck your office up, man.
Right.
You pissed him off. You're probably lucky he didn't kill you.
You know what, Steve? I'm going to say that I have my ex-wife. I have a daughter who's 34. I got custody of her when she was 6 before I married my ex. So not the mother of my daughter. And one of the times she left me, she took my daughter and then our 2 babies that were 1 and 2 at the time. And she ran off and she hid out for like 4 days, which is technically felony kidnapping.
It is.
I had full custody of my daughter. Her mother wasn't allowed to see her. I was the sole custodian. Now, of course, I didn't want to upset the family because I didn't do anything, but she took me to court to try and get custody of my daughter. And the commissioner looked at her and she said, "Ma'am, I can't you don't have any rights." But the 2 babies who are ours together, I had to have visitation with them. And the reason they do that is because it covers their asses. If something happened, that commissioner or judge made a decision, to give both parents access, and then something happened to the child, then their asses are on the line. So they will, to quote,
but Don,
err on the side of caution to cover their asses.
Yeah, covering your ass and erring on the side of caution is not covered.
No,
the Constitution.
It's not.
She went to the shelter, got the brochures and everything in the playbook. What these people do. Went through the motions that they all do to try and make themselves look like victims.
That's why I came up with Administrative Violence, Divorce, and Custody Edition.
Yeah.
And when I look at this, I'm not looking at it as, just one fight in family court. That's a frontal assault for the dude, and that is going to be just absolutely fucked up for you. But here's the thing. You need to think of the soon-to-be ex-wife or baby mama as your fucking enemy.
Yeah.
And listen, around that family court, there are at least 6, sometimes more bureaucracies that you can get the baby mother or soon-to-be ex-wife tangled up in, like state and federal income tax fraud. You can report them to the police for unsavory behavior. You can report to CPS. Of course, you're going to have to do that anonymously, because if they find out you're the actual father, they disregard anything you have to say.
Yes.
But if you can file anonymous, a minimum of 3 complaints, and each complaint has 3 verifiable, truthful pieces of information, they will take action. And the minute they start that, you file an emergency motion for custody because of a CPS investigation. Or if there's like, for instance, your baby mama or your soon-to-be ex-wife likes to go to the bar every now and again. You borrow your buddy's car. You get a burner cell phone. You wait down the street. The minute she leaves that bar, gets in her car and starts driving, you call in a DWI. and you say she was swerving, she almost hit somebody, give them the plate number, the make and model, and just watch.
Yeah.
They will do an automatic breathalyzer. If you see them put handcuffs on her, you know she's getting popped for DWI or operating under the influence. File another emergency motion for custody. Then she has to not, because if it's a frontal assault by you, she's already got the pillboxes, interlocking sector of fire. She's got, indirect. She's got fast movers. But the minute that she has to fight on multiple battlefields, it's less resources, and you can outmaneuver them that way.
Well, in family court too, I have a buddy that's going through all this too, Pop, and it's like she has domestics, same thing. But where do they go? They still go to the money.
Correct.
Always
go to the money. So you could be smoking crack, you could be doing whatever. They're gonna go to the money.
But here's the thing:
states make millions of dollars off of this.
Stand by. The minute they do that, right? And they say you have verifiable scumbaggery for the mother.
Sure.
When the court sides with her, then that is a federal sexual discrimination lawsuit at a minimum.
Okay.
All right. And if we have enough people just saying, all right, fuck you, federal court, fuck off, avalanche of fucking complaints. At some point, they're going to be like, this is not worth the juice is not worth the squeeze to fuck with these people.
Right. And I think that's where Bob was going with the whole, I use the enforcement. Where's the enforcement? Well, if enough judges get sued, they're going to raise their ears. They're going to be like, we got a problem here. So
and as the district courts start stacking up case after case, are state judges required to obey the supreme law of the land? Yes or no? They're going to have to answer it sooner or later.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Pop and I made this map some time ago. This was, I think, 2009. This visually demonstrates in the form of a battle map exactly what you're up against. You can see you got your family here. This black dot, that's you. This is your one attorney. And you can see everything that's arrayed against you. The K is your kids' family assets, and you can see all the different layers of courts and everything. And this is how we visualize it.
Where can I get that? Can you share that?
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely.
Send that to me, Steve. I want to see that too.
Yeah, I'll send it to you right now. We made this in 2009 because we were both battle staff. I was battle staff for Colonel. Pop was battle staff for civil affairs, and I looked at this whole situation. I'm like, this is a fucking threat map.
You know, it's interesting. I used what my ex-wife did to me in court. It was just like, I mean, she had the upper hand just because of the type of person she is and what she has going for her, the way the system works. But I said she hit me with, a frontal assault. She hit me from the left flank, the right flank. She hit me from the rear.
Yeah.
She called in artillery. She called it, she dropped napalm and just kicked the crap out of me. I didn't have a chance to. I couldn't defend myself from all those sides.
Right.
And
ultimately,
and that's what all of us.
Ultimately, the court basically gives them the opportunity to go after us and play us into stupidity and insanity and crazy pain. But the court is taking advantage of that. The people who are, the former spouses, they may be breaking the law. They may be doing drugs. They may be doing all kinds of other problems. They may be subjecting the kids to abuses beyond your imagination. But we can't sue them to fix the problem. We can sue the judge for due process of law, and we can sue the judge for money where they have broken the law that says they could not possibly touch our benefits. That's the difference. This is why this is a totally different approach from everything everybody else has tried in the past. Other veterans have tried to sue their judges in federal court, and failed because they always say, well, in the trial of the child support and the divorce, and this is about reviewing the divorce case. And the minute they say that, they destroy their own federal case. We're not asking about having the federal court look at the state court ruling on the divorce or the child support order. We're asking the federal court, are they required to obey the law that says they could not touch veteran benefits? And if they are, then can they get in trouble for breaking it? And the idea is we get those on the table. And just like Pop said, get a bunch of those in there. Sooner or later, that judge is going to get nervous. The state is going to get nervous. And if we turn around and we sue the state in the state court and say, hey, you, the state of California, Washington, Idaho, Michigan, are liable. The state itself is liable in a suit for damages for the predatory discrimination against a veteran with disability, where the judges, as actors for the state, have committed a fraud they could not possibly have authority to do. The state can be sued. And that will ring some bells.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Well, the thing is, like, for instance, what Brandon just brought up. All right. Say there's a mother out there. She's got a bunch of domestics. She's got a DWI and some other bullshit, and they give her custody of those kids. That is a federal lawsuit.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the guys I know had to go 2,500 miles across country, break into a crack house, and grab his kid, and then come back, and still had to fight in court to keep the kid once they got back, even though it was really, really well documented and established that the mom had moved into this crack house. She was a crack addict herself, and everything was off the charts. Still took him 2 years to get custody.
Jesus Christ.
And he should have immediately filed a goddamn lawsuit against the fucking state for that.
There should have been an injunction
This is
there.
where we need to go.
There
We have
absolutely
to
should have
suit
been an
against the
injunction.
state for state misconduct.
I'm glad
Yeah,
you
but
brought
a lot of us
Protective
don't know,
services is
though.
just an arm of the moneymaker. The family court is a moneymaker. It's a profit center. That's all it is.
I know.
It's a profit center.
But we
Yeah.
listen to the
Let's
attorneys,
give
and the
Yeah,
attorneys tell us this is the way things go. You won't get anywhere. We're scared. We're broke. We're desperate. We're depressed, and
That's
so we
why
just
we're
suck it
here.
up. And that's why, just
why
like
we
the
exist.
gentleman that was on the case this morning, I've been talking to his wife. She said he doesn't want to fight anymore. He was Army helicopter pilot. He's been through a lot of shit. He's done fighting, even though he's getting screwed. He just wants to be done.
Which is why we have to fight for him.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
All right, we've been going on. It's now 9:32. We're gonna have to get through some of these super chats, gentlemen.
Let's do one last quick roundup, Pop. Guys, thank you for coming on. Veteranhope.org is the website, veteranhope.org. I put it in some of the chats. That's Bob and Don, and Brandon's on here. He's one of us now. We thank you guys for coming on, and we are going to figure out how to properly fight this. I sent you guys, Brandon, Bob, and Don, I sent you guys some emails with some information. You'll see what I'm talking about there. We appreciate your time, man.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
No
thanks,
problem.
guys. Appreciate it.
You're more than welcome to stay on if you want.
I've got to go and take care of some homework, but I'm glad to be here, and I thank you guys for having us.
All right, no
So
problem.
we will set up something for later on, but this concludes the 3-part series that we wanted to do on this. We felt was very important, but there will definitely be more.
Yeah, we'll have more information to share too in the future. We've been meeting with members of Congress lately, so
Yeah.
We will coordinate efforts.
And the other thing too, guys, all the viewers and stuff like that, listen, get on Bob's page, smell it, eat it, learn it. The whole
Don't make it weird.
Make it weird.
Well, it's all weird, but yeah, learn it. And guys, I appreciate the platform you have, Pop. Unbelievable. Love this.
Well, it was even better before I lost the original channel.
We will unfuck this too.
Really good, man. We really
right.
appreciate you.
Yep.
So let's put this out to the people watching. All right. I know this is a dry subject, and we've done 3 shows in a row on this, but our primary mission here is to keep the guns out of people's mouths who have been driven to self-deletion by the removal of their purpose, their family, their job, their assets. I'm telling you, I mean, men are dying hand over fist over this. This is a critical subject, and that is why we dedicated 3 shows in a row to this. We're going to change topics next Tuesday to something else, but this is, I mean, it's life
It needed
and
to be
death.
done. Needed to be done.
Yeah. Listen, man, of all the things I am most proud of in this life is when shit got fucking real. I didn't, look the other way or take the easy right. I stood up and said, this is fucked up. I rolled up my sleeves and I'm like, it's either you or it's fucking me. And that's the way I roll. All right.
With that, Jimmy, I believe it's super chat time.
Take it away, Jimmy.
Cue the
All right.
dancing monkeys.
Alrighty, gentlemen. Again, appreciate you guys showing up here and doing the shows for us. I really do wish I could have been here for the entire show, but fortunately, work is a bit of a pain in the ass. But I'm here now. But thank you guys again for coming on, sharing the stories, sharing the knowledge for all the guys out there, and for the guys out there, share the show, share the information, share everything.
Yeah.
I want to see 600 lives saved by the end of the year.
That'd be
Well,
nice.
we can only hope.
That'd be nice. But as they all said, well, the seriousness has come to the end. Now the fun shall begin.
Oh, don't care what you gotta say. Whatever it is, it's probably lame. If you want some advice and need some help, oh, how about you go F yourself? Go yourself. Oh, F yourself.
Gotta love those AI videos. So
Shit
we'll
gets
start
weird
over here.
around here.
Start over here on the YouTube side. And hey, one good thing though, our ratios are pretty well even. We got 171 viewers and 170 likes.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Nice.
Take that.
Boom.
That. And we'll start off here with Mario Trujillo. Trujillo. He's got 2 in a row. His first one says, some money for the regiment. It's
Thank you.
not a lot, but it's what I can spare. Keep up the fight, gents.
Every little
Thank you
bit
so
helps,
much.
man. Everybody a little bit helps.
We're not going anywhere. And Mario again says, also, it's not just the family courts, Pop. Every branch of the legal system is filled with corrupt, lazy, power-drunk, and outright stupid judges.
Absolutely. And lawyers and prosecutors. The whole system's fucked.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Sorry. I'm getting spun up. I should have had some beers.
We'll get a beer, Pop.
This is not an accident.
Let's see. Homeschool time was $6.18. That's an interesting donation, but thank you very much. It says men hit goals because December 31st will come before your girlfriend does. Like and subscribe and tell your friends to share Pop's videos.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. That's Mario coming back with $10. Mario coming back with $10 says, hey, Battle Dwarf, it's not that they don't know, they don't care. If they have to strip you down to the marrow to keep their blood train running, they will do so with a smile on their face.
It's a combination of all of it. That's what bureaucratosis is. You are not incorrect.
But here's the thing, though. Yes, they can do that to, onesie, twosies here and there. But it's all fun and games until the fucking army shows up.
Yeah.
Then good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Homeschool time again. It says, guys had, He's doing another playoff as a previous one. He says, guys hit goals December 31st will come before your girlfriend does. First aid class, first aid nowhere doctors, nurse, and medics live in your neighborhood. Do not get hurt in first goddamn place.
Yep. Now it's easier
I've
said than done.
had more than one medical class, including 2 or 3 trips through Combat Life Taker. So I'm kind of self-sustaining on that front, fortunately.
Yep. There we go. And we got Goat Bill throwing in $2 Canadian. Says a great episode. Need a pop video I'll play.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
What happened?
And Cool Cat coming in with $10 says, much love and respect, guys. What do you guys think of this war in Iran? I pray we don't send our guys over there for another 20 years of war.
I'm hoping we don't have to do a show on it. That's what I will say for now.
Now, let's just be honest. More than likely, we're going to wind up dropping some bombs and,
we already have.
Saber rattling. But hopefully that's where it stops, because Russia is not backing Iran. The only other player in that area that can actually give any problems to us is China. But they're already stacking to try to take over Taiwan. So we'll see what happens with that.
Look, very, very briefly, some of you might remember Gay Xerxes from the movie The 300. Look, that region has been trying to kill each other vigorously and with enthusiasm for the last 5,000 years. We just need to stay the fuck out of it. Period.
Yep.
It's 5,000 years of angry. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, I'm done. Fuck them.
That's my take.
It's a lot of
kill
money.
Kill each other. Have a good time.
A lot of money involved in that too. I mean,
oh god, yeah.
You're going to see all the, Wall Streets, all that. That's all going to spike up.
It's a very deep rabbit hole. Let's not go there right now.
This next one, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a new one. I haven't seen this name. We got Shalinda Trudel. She's got 3 in a row there, and they all total $50. So we're going to give you a We're Not Worthy after that. Ooh. First one, $20, no comment. Second one was for 20. These are not support issues. They are systemic legal failures that must be investigated and addressed through meaningful reform.
Yep. Agree.
Yes. And her last one here for $10 says, veterans are honored for defending our freedom, but too often they are abandoned by the very legal system they fought to protect. In court, they receive neither justice nor the dignity they've earned.
The second we get out, our government forgets us.
Yep.
Shalinda Trudel.
Yep. Shalinda, you get one of these.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Might be my wife. I don't know.
Oh.
Trudel. Shalinda Trudel.
Hey, how about that?
All right.
Trudel.
Hey, thanks.
All right, we'll jump over to the Rumble side. We got 386 viewers over there, 118 likes. Not the ratio I like to see there, gents, but I'll let it pass. Bring up chats here. Let's see. Make sure they didn't screw me over, but it didn't look like it did. But Kano dropping $100 on us. Missed the last few streams, graduation season, and I'm busy making bank off rich California yuppies and their crotch spawn. Let me make it up to you with a Benjamin. Also, give me a Bolshevik.
Let's do it.
He has been summoned, ladies and gentlemen.
Bolsheviks.
No, don't say it.
Bolsheviks.
No, please stop.
Bolsheviks.
It's showtime. Bolsheviks, baby. Everyone drink.
And next one here is coming from Flashgator for $20. Says, Wheel of Woe drinking game idea.
Yes.
Easy
I got
mode.
the email on this.
Drink a shot every time the wheel is wrong. Hard mode. Drink a shot every time the wheel is right.
Nobody would survive that night.
No, that'd be bad.
That'd be bad. Option for fun. Hard mode if likes are higher than 3/4.
Well, I mean, that's a minimum of 3 shots and a maximum of like 12 to 16. You would die. Can't do it.
That's alcohol poisoning waiting to happen right there.
I'm good.
Let's see, 3 to 4 shots or 12 to 16. Yeah, that's about half a bottle of Bird Dog. I could do it.
The wheels are very rarely wrong, so easy mode is probably your safest bet, unless you want to spend the night in ER getting your stomach pumped with charcoal and having a few IVs run through you.
I thought it was hilarious when Steve was like, this is like a fucked up 8-ball thing. These are
It is. It's a magic 8-ball. It's
Yeah, and I literally came up with those numbers. I'm like, what are some excuses? And I literally went from experience. I'm like, okay, this, okay, and it, lo and behold, it works.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Very rarely wrong. That's the crazy part.
All right, next one.
And Flash Gator coming back again says, "Good night, gentlemen, and good luck. Thank you for your continued content and advice."
Was it Edward R. Murrow who used to sign off that way? Good night and good luck.
Yeah.
Well,
let's see. Let me scroll down through the chats. A little light on the super chats tonight, but that's just fine with us. Let's see. Mando says, "One more, my one chat tonight, Bolsheviks." He's summoning Beetle Dwarf. Jimmy, play the vid, or if it's already been played, let's take a peek in on Dwarf and Nance.
Oh no!
I think they're doing just fine.
I hate that. I hate that.
Lovely stroll through the park. Let's see here. Got 68 Barracuda here says, "Hey, Battle Hobbit, why do you look Asian? Why do you look Asian in that barbershop quartet? Is it because you're a short power walker like Cappy? Wiggle dance."
It's entirely possible. I spent a lot of time in Asia. It may have rubbed off.
Fair enough.
No comment. I had a joke there, but I'll move
Don't
on.
do it. Don't do it. Jimmy, I will straight up send you to Tokari to play Find the Midget.
I'll probably find her too.
Not that hard to find.
Let's see. We got Professor Blake Pooh Ass Blaster 3000 says, "Do Singing Blake or give Pop a Hillbilly Hillary?" You know what? I'm feeling in a generous mood tonight, so you know what? We'll go with the Singing Captain.
We did have a request for Singing Pop. You guys are jackasses. Always want to watch the same shit over and over again. Pick new videos.
Look at me, I wanna be the captain of the sea.
About time.
The poop deck ain't for me. I'd rather steer us to debauchery.
Careful what you ask for, video guy. Careful what you ask for.
Let's see. Next one here
River
from
horns will always go unexplained.
Yeah. Next one from Jerry Conway says, "Jimmy, please order this. Hooked on Phonics. Learn to read. Levels 1 and 2 complete. Early emergent readers, pre-K, ages 3 to 4. Learn to read complete sentences."
Well, he'll get better. Just practice. He'll be fine.
Jimmy's come a long way. Don't
Yeah.
you pick on our button pushing monkey.
It's all
Drop.
good. Everyone gets fucked with.
Beat your fucking face.
It's Jerry. I'll give Jerry a pass because he's the man with the golden voice, and I'm just the button pushing monkey here.
Beat your face.
Let's see. We got some doubles there. The next one is from Cliff3188. Says, "Evening. Was in California this weekend. I'm sorry. I saw the live feed of the No Kings protest. At 2 p.m., you see 12 protesters look at their phones, get into a van, and other protesters arrive. The media is in on it."
Yep. And all of those cell phones,
all fucking paid.
all those cell phones are getting tracked now.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And 68 Barracuda, "I need to get a hold of Blake so he can email at me because he's asking, 'Hey, Shag Faggot, where's my wiggle dance?'" We don't have that in the lineup for the buttons, I don't think. Pretty sure we don't, but
Listen,
we will. We'll get
Send
it.
me an email to redonkulas@gmail.com and I will.
John had a power outage.
There
Oh,
I
he's
am.
back.
Jeez. That's the second time it's happened in this show.
Second time.
Somebody doesn't like you, Don.
And I live in the desert. We don't do much. We don't have many power outages here.
Let's see.
Murphy.
Yep. Next one, International House of Whoop Ass says, how about the Spanish chick that sang the national anthem in Spanish, then crying, cited FDR saying he said it's okay to use it, but she didn't say that he made it. She didn't say that he made it so that it can only be sung outside of CONUS. Yeah, fuck that bitch. And Jerry Conway again said, last one on Rumble here, says, told you I would get a flashback.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All righty. Let's see here. I was jumping over on the MGTOW side of things. There wasn't any super chats over there. So let me do a quick reload here. Oh, we got Crazy Uncle here with 2 in a row. First one, young men should listen to shows like this. I told my nephew to listen. He didn't. Yeah. And now a slag is taking him to court because he set himself up well after graduation. FYI, she's a future system surfer. Now my stomach is in knots because we are in the state of Connecticut, which is a liberal cesspool.
Oh, yeah. Connecticut's really bad. That's a bad one. He got caught on the nookie hook.
Did it all for the nookie, and well, what did that cost you? A lot of pain and agony.
Yeah. Some guys, it cost them their lives.
Right. And Crazy Uncle again, he says, I forgot to mention, about a month ago, the town thought they could pass a budget of over $41 million. This includes the school budget, teachers union. They just had us vote again due to the vote failing, and shocker, the budget was down to $17 million. Pay attention, everyone. As much as politics sucks, dripping disease donkey dick, you need to pay attention. Be ready to vote with your feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Well, we've already done the soapbox and the ballot box. Let's hope it doesn't come to that last item.
Yes. Cartridge box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the one.
That's not good. Let's see. Over on the Odyssey side, looks like only one from Blankets here says, Pop, what are the chances of World War III happening?
Somewhere between 3 and 7%. All right, let's go.
Sounds about right. Looks like no lemons over on D-Live, where we got 6 viewers over there. Jumping over to the Itchy Twitchy. When it loads, we got 9 viewers over there. And over on the Twatosphere, we had 189 views.
Oh, Twitter's picking up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also got 2 more on YouTube.
They're paying attention.
Yep. Jump back over there. Let's see. Looks like, don't you fucking do it, YouTube. You're fucking freezing on me, you bastards. There it goes. Fuckers. We got Goat Milk dropping $50 Canadian on us. Says we need that Russian video of Pop going papa, papa, papa. In all seriousness, it's time to go Spartan. Go sober. Tell your stories, man. I have video withheld from the police of being hit by my ex.
Nice.
Ooh. Ouch. Uh-huh. And Shalinda jumping back in with $10. Says,
wait, Jimmy. He threw $50 at us, so we owe him a not worthy, eh?
Yes, A.
Actually, he I just reread over that. We owe him a we're not worthy in one of these because he requested it.
My nephew saw this and just hysterically laughed.
It's rude to sneak that in without warning, though.
That's what she said.
Ooh.
And Shalinda's coming in with $10 again. All courts exploit veterans, targeting those they believe they can be an easy source of financial gain for their own benefit. Retirement.
Correct. Not wrong.
Yep. All right. Let me jump back over to the Rumble side, see if there's any sneaky bastards in there, because I know there's probably one of you. Nope, not any. No sneaky bastards tonight. So let me jump back through everything, make sure we're not missing anybody. That crazy uncle's still the only one over on MGTOW side. Blanket's only on the Odyssey side. So, Pop, I believe we're ready for the cash apps.
Hang on.
Cash apps.
We'll get to the cash apps.
The Kashaps.
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 Stand by.
Standing by.
Hang on. Let's see. Hang on. All right. I think we've got the one from Susie McCarley. Yeah. She sent in $30.
Thank you, Zeus.
And she says for winning.
Winning.
Thank you so much. I think that's it for the cash apps.
That was it. All righty. Well, I'm going to do one more quick run through. But it looks like we are all caught up on the super chats here for tonight. Double checking. Yep, we are all good to go. So, Don, Brandon, any final words from you guys tonight?
Don, go ahead.
No, I just, thanks again for having us on. We could probably talk about this for 15, 20 episodes. So
we will definitely do more, especially as appropriate material comes through. But we don't like to press the issue too hard.
Sure.
It wears it out. It wears it out.
It does. I'm actually typing an email right now. I'm sharing something with you. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the Isaac Law Firm.
No.
This young lady's down in Alabama. She's a former, I think she was a major in the Army, and she runs a law firm for men. She's been on cable channels and everything talking about how badly men get screwed in divorce. So
interesting. Have we reached that age, Don, where we call majors that young lady?
I'm going to be 60 next week. So.
I didn't even bat an eyelash when you said it. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not picking on you. I'm going, oh my God, the major, that young lady.
I was raised to,
That's fine. No, I'm with you. It was a realization I had. You said that and I didn't even flinch. That's what triggered my remark.
Well, Don is the gunny sergeant in disguise, and that's how gunnies talk.
That is how gunnies.
Yeah.
Well, it does look like we did have one sneaky bastard in there. MGTOW Mando jumping in says, I am no longer in uniform. I will sit by. Thank you.
That's fair.
Yeah. All righty. Brandon, any final words from you tonight, good sir?
Well, listen, Pop, again, great platform. We appreciate you. Steve, amazing. It's very gratifying. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Got your back, bro.
Yep.
Sounds good, brother.
We always do. Battledorf, final words from you tonight.
I had some, but now they've escaped me. There will be more on this topic, rest assured. But just stay frosty. And if you're out there and you are listening and you feel like you need to get something off your chest, we do listen. During the course of the show, I responded to 2 different guys where I had a second to respond to them. We're here to help. We're genuinely here to help as much as we can.
Yep.
Anything we can do, we will do. But alrighty, Pop. I think we're ready for the safety briefing.
All right, everybody, don't drink and drive, don't drink and swim. It's not going to work out for you. If you must fornicate, wear a condom, take it with you and flush it down the toilet. Why? Because women are sneaky bitches and child support does last 18 to 21 years, depending upon the state you're in. Rack up, pack up, and stack up because there's always safety in numbers. And maintain your situational awareness because if you're going to be attacked, something in your environment will have changed. It's up to you to see it. Last but not least, I'm sick and tired of throwing you dudes in the dirt because you're taking a permanent solution to a temporary goddamn problem. Play the long game. You have no idea what the future holds for you, and it could change on a dime. Next, stay in the goddamn fight. And last but not least, if everything else fails, live at a motherfucking spite. And
Hurrah.
remember, Uncle Pop is here, cheering for all of your victories, even the ones you can never tell anyone about. Boom, beer me.
There you go. And it looks like we did have one last little sneaky bastard in the Rumble chat. Jerry Conway. Whoever requests the Romulan headgear singing pop is the Scourge to this channel. I bet $5 Jimmy mispronounces Scourge. Well, you just lost $5 there, Jerry. Pay me. But after all that good stuff and everything, you guys know my spiel. Redonkulas.com. Head on over there. Get you some merch. I'm telling you, these koozies are fucking awesome. Keep your beer nice and cold. And again, stay in the fight. Live out of spite. I mean, we got all kinds of good stuff there. And Blake has informed me there's going to be a new merch drop here very soon.
Oh,
all right.
So,
all right.
Just to give you a hint, everybody out there tried to screw over not only veterans but any man in family court can suck a dick.
Smurf my balls.
Hey, listen quickly. My sister-in-law, Christine Hall, there's a huge ride, Hell to Paradise in Michigan. They do.
Oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, and it fights veteran suicide. That would bring publicly this issue as well. So
we'd love to be able to get in there and see if they'll do a fundraiser for us.
Well, let me know if they need a speaker. I'm more than willing to go there and talk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We have a place in Michigan called Hell and a place in Michigan called Paradise. You can go from Paradise to Hell and back in a couple of hours, basically.
One day.
One day. You can. I have taken my wife to Hell and back just for fun. So.
Well, I live in California, so we have both here too.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Pop,
Thank you
Pop
again,
goes
gentlemen.
to hell. There's an episode. Pop goes to hell.
There it is.
Like a Dr.
Sounds good. All righty, gents. It is our time to get the hell out of here for tonight, but we will see you on Thursday.
Go fuck all of the offs.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Take it easy.